What happens when a man of science, a tenured professor, feels like the very systems designed to protect him have completely turned against him? Today, we're diving into a formal complaint that alleges just that. It's the story of a 17-year battle that a professor, Dr. Mohammed Fayyad, claims cost him absolutely everything.
And right from the get-go, you can feel the urgency in this. This isn't some dry, stuffy legal document. No, as Dr. Fayyad writes himself, it's a cry for help. It's a plea, hoping that someone, somewhere in the world, will finally listen.
Now, it's really important to get this straight. Everything we're about to cover comes directly from this one document, Dr. Fayyad's formal complaint. We're simply explaining the story as he laid it out, in his own words.
So, he frames his entire complaint around two massive themes: what he calls widespread judicial corruption and a systemic racism that he alleges has seeped into every single institution he's had to deal with for nearly 2 decades.
Okay, a key term you'll see in his writing is pro per. So what does that mean? It means Dr. Fayyad is representing himself in all these legal battles. He's acting as his own lawyer, which, wow, just highlights the incredible challenge anyone faces when they have to navigate the maze of the legal system all alone.
So where did all this begin? The complaint traces the roots of this whole struggle way back to Dr. Fayyad's long and pretty distinguished career at San Jose State University, a career that he says eventually devolved into an absolute nightmare.
It's really fascinating how Dr. Fayyad ties his identity as a scientist directly to his alleged persecution. You have to wonder, is he seeing this as just a personal attack, or, as he suggests, an attack on the very idea of science itself?
So the complaint lays out this timeline, and you can just feel the pressure escalating. It starts back in 2006 with his role being reduced. Then things get really serious. He undergoes a heart transplant in 2016. When he returns to work, he claims the university retaliated against him. He alleges this all led to his termination, which he calls a horrible academic crime. And yes, you're seeing that date right, March 2025. That's in the future. It could be a typo in the original document, but we're presenting it exactly as it was written.
So as this fight with the university got more and more intense, Dr. Fayyad did what anyone would do. He sought legal help. But according to his complaint, this next chapter of his struggle was just as agonizing. His search for an advocate just became another source of suffering.
Let's just stop and look at this number for a second. Nearly 100. That's the sheer number of legal professionals and law firms he contacted, both in the United States and in Egypt, trying to find someone to represent him. But after all that searching, he claims he didn't find any allies. Instead, he alleges he found a system of exploitation, where lawyers would take his money and then either do nothing, actively work against him, or in some cases, just completely disappear.
In the complaint, he actually creates what he calls a blacklist of misconduct, breaking down 10 different ways he was allegedly wronged by legal professionals. We're talking about everything from lawyers he says extorted him to others who took huge fees and then bailed on the case right at the courtroom door, supposedly on a judge's order.
So after his alleged experiences with lawyers, Dr. Fayyad's focus shifts all the way to the top of the legal system, the judges themselves. And this is where he claims the corruption was impossible to miss.
This really shows the huge disconnect he's describing. On one side, you have the principles of justice we all hope for. On the other, you have what he alleges he actually got: bias, ignored evidence, and rulings that he felt were already decided before he even walked into the room.
A huge part of his complaint focuses on his divorce case, and he names one judge in particular, James E. Towery. He accuses the judge of blatant bias, claiming the judge knew his ex-wife had already gotten a settlement in Egypt, but ignored that evidence and still allowed all of his property to be seized. He describes this one specific, painful moment in the courtroom. He believed he had cold, hard proof of a forged document, a real smoking gun. But he says that instead of even considering it, the judge just looked at him with contempt, as if the verdict was already a done deal.
Yeah, the complaint does not mince words. The accusation is as direct as it gets. He lays the blame for the destruction of his family and his life squarely at the feet of this judge and, in his words, his associates.
And that brings us to the end of his complaint. After recounting all these experiences, he makes a final, stark declaration and a plea for a massive investigation into the whole thing. So after documenting all of this, what do you do with it? Who is this cry for help actually sent to?
The answer is just about everyone. The distribution list is vast. This wasn't just a legal document, it was a public appeal.
He sent it to the highest levels of state government, to federal representatives, civil rights organizations, banks, media outlets, basically anyone he thought might possibly listen. And he ends with this really powerful statement. He makes it crystal clear that his goal isn't to be pitied. He wants to see a restoration of the principles he believes have been completely violated. It leaves you with a pretty fundamental question, doesn't it? What happens when a citizen believes the very system designed to protect them has become their primary enemy?